Identifying and avoiding scams have become a constant aspect of modern life. Nigerian princes make $1,000 a week at home. A cheap mortgage is just waiting for you, you know. My advice to my mom, don't click on anything. They'll come looking for you if it's real. Well, Warren County fell for a $3 million scam, and it seems it was entirely avoidable. And now the blame game has begun. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And the Devlin Inn and Suites, Lake Placid, welcoming families, athletes, and groups to the Olympic Village, offering Adirondack mountain views and dog-friendly accommodations. TheDevlinNY.com.
Hey, I'm David Summerstein. It's Wednesday, January 28th. First up, New York's child poverty rate ranks in the bottom 10 in the country, and it's been that way for a while now. As Amy Feiereisel reports, advocates are hoping that recent policy changes will start to make a difference, but they worry that federal cuts could negate those gains.
New York's child poverty rate is bad. Kari Siddiqui is with the Schuyler Center and coordinates the New York Can End Child Poverty Coalition.
18% of kids across New York State are living in poverty.
In many upstate cities like Syracuse, Binghamton, and Rochester, the number of children living in poverty is upwards of 40%. To try to change that, the state legislature passed the Child Poverty Reduction Act in 2021. Its goal was to cut New York's child poverty rate in half over a decade. Unfortunately, 5 years in, not much has changed, says Siddiqui.
So we're now about halfway towards that goal, and we really haven't seen the rate of child poverty reduce yet. However, we have made some pretty significant investments.
One of the biggest policy changes to come from the Reduction Act is only just now taking effect. That's the expansion of New York's child tax credit. Starting on January 1st, that credit increased from $330 to $1,000 per child under the age of 4. Next year, the amount will increase for children aged 4 to 17.
And so this is a really significant investment and is estimated to reduce child poverty by about 9%. Despite that, though, we still have a really long way to go to reach that goal.
Another marker that child poverty advocates pay close attention to is food insecurity rates. Siddiqui says that's a clear indicator of financial strain on families. And those also look quite grim in New York right now.
1 in 5 children around New York State experience food insecurity, which means that they did not have adequate access to food sometimes or often.
Now, there is some potential relief coming from the child care front. If New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani and Governor Kathy Hochul get their way, New York is on the verge of embarking on an incredibly ambitious child care expansion. Besides rent, child care is typically a family's largest expense. Hochul and Mamdani hope making child care more accessible and affordable will bring relief to families and the overall economy. But those policies will take time to put into place. Siddiqui has concerns about how federal cuts could make things worse in the state before they get better. For example, cuts to the nation's largest anti-hunger program, SNAP, formerly known as food stamps.
H.R. 1, the federal bill, made some really significant changes to SNAP, which will result in more families and children experiencing food insecurity, almost certainly.
Last fall, the federal government also announced it was discontinuing the USDA's annual food security report, calling it, quote, redundant, costly, and extraneous. Siddiqui says that report has long been a critical tracking tool.
And this is worrisome as it is a loss of our ability to measure the problem, which then results in making it a lot more difficult for us to address those problems.
Governor Hochul has signaled in her recent budget proposal that the state does intend to fill some of the gaps left behind by federal cuts. Siddiqui says the issue of child poverty will need that help if New York has any hope of reducing its rate by 2031. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio.
Governor Kathy Hochul's administration is starting to lay out its case to roll back parts of an environmental law to fast-track affordable housing. Department of Environmental Conservation Commissioner Amanda Lefton told a joint budget committee that the proposal would streamline environmental impact review for certain projects.
We want to be thoughtful about how we can ensure that we're meeting the multiple goals of the state of increasing affordable housing, as well as advancing environmental protections and continuing to prioritize our natural resources.
The plan is supported by business and real estate groups. Environmental organizations say any changes should be limited to protect land and water quality. A medical device manufacturer is laying off dozens of workers in Warren County next month. The Albany Times-Union reports that AngioDynamics is cutting 54 non-union jobs at its Glens Falls and Queensbury facilities. The company employs 265 people across those sites. Warren County officials say affected employees were notified months before the announcement. This month, the medical device company cited contract loss as the cause for the layoffs. In 2024, AngioDynamics announced it was planning to shut down its operations in Queensbury and Glens Falls, but it reversed course several months later. Warren County is working to recover millions of dollars that it lost last month to fraud. That case has stirred up infighting and sparked a blame game within county government. Emily Russell reports.
In mid-December, the Warren County Treasurer's Office sent 2 payments to a company it believed was Peckham Materials. That company does roadwork and repairs for the county. The 2 payments totaled $3.3 million. Then came the bad news. On December 23rd, the county learned that both payments were sent to a fraudulent account pretending to be Peckham. The county chairman called Sheriff Jim LaFar, who began investigating. LaFar briefed the board at a meeting in early January.
Very quickly, it was evident to us that this is not a sophisticated computer crime, not an elaborate form of phishing. This was a very basic act of fraud that was easily preventable.
LaFar pointed to a key shortfall. See, for decades, the county had been paying contractors with checks. Months before the fraud, it shifted to ACH payments. Those are bank-to-bank wire transfers. But LaFar says the county didn't have an ACH verification policy until mid-December, until it was too late.
The safeguards were not in place to make sure that our county was protected from potential fraud and liabilities.
But Warren County Treasurer Christine Norton says there was another safeguard that could have prevented the $3 million theft. Peckham had sent letters and emails back in July to at least a few officials in Warren County. That's according to the Times-Union, which has reviewed those warnings. At the meeting in January, Norton said the treasurer's office only learned about those warnings in late December, after the theft.
This was the first time we were advised that the chairman had received a fraud alert from Peckham Industries on 7/21/25.
Excuse me, that's incorrect.
Warren County Board Chairman Kevin Garrity pushed back against Norton, claiming he never saw any letter or email from Peckham.
You're incorrect.
The email was received. You told me the email was received by your secretary, and she printed it out there to you.
I never saw any email.
So there's competing claims about whether or not leadership in Warren County knew about the Peckham alert back in July. But at another county meeting this month, Sheriff Jim LaFar said it was basically a moot point. He thinks the treasurer shouldn't have needed to see those warnings to be able to spot the fraud.
Any experienced accountant or CPA, if they need this type of alert to stop an ACH fraud, I think you should question their experience and competence.
The back and forth continued at that county board meeting. Treasurer Norton again laid out the timeline of events, including what she knew and when she knew it. Norton said she felt like all the blame was being unfairly put on her department, and she pushed back against the sheriff.
There are a lot of things going on here. I do not think the sheriff is objective. He did not tell you objective facts. They were very one-sided.
Norton said there were things her office could have done better, though she didn't get into those details. The sheriff's office is investigating the fraud with help from state police and the U.S. Secret Service. So far, they've been able to recover $1.2 million. And LaFar told the Warren County Board they may be able to get back some or all of the remaining $2.1 million.
I am going to do everything within my power, lawfully acceptable, to recover every penny that was taken from our residents.
The fraud case in Warren County is also being investigated by the New York State Comptroller's Office. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Eddie Lawrence of Saranac Lake and Ben Cato of Jay. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.